What's up, guys? Artem MMA Analysis here. Going to be quickly talking about Bellator 282 Mousasi versus Eblen. I'm personally not expecting this to be a super long video. I'm just going to be giving some quick picks throughout the whole card. And yeah, not really going to be going too deep on the breakdowns, but giving my quick picks and just letting you guys know who I think is going to win. I do have a couple of Bellator underdogs here, a couple of guys that could be live as well, but yeah, let's just get straight into it, man. As always, if you want to throw down money on the card, use my link in the description for BetUS for a 125% sign-up bonus. Now, the first fight of the night is going to be Bryce Logan versus Mandel Nello. Nello has been in the Bellator scene for quite a while now. I mean, he's kind of been around, but recently he's had a weird run. You know, he's got that the no contest to Soto Ward and a couple of losses thrown in there against some pretty good guys as well. But yeah, Bryce Logan, 2-fight losing streak right now. Before that, though, he was on the LFA scene, and I think that was at one point some people were talking about Bryce Logan being on Dana White's Contender Series or something like that, but never quite happened. But he does have a win over Jonas Block, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he's lost 2 fights in Bellator. Now they're giving him Mandel Nello. Mandel Nello, you know, a veteran of Bellator as well himself, and I think that Mandel Nello should just get the win here. I'm not super confident on it though. Maybe Bryce Logan could be an underdog to look into, but I don't think he'll win here. I will be going with Nello myself, so is Tapology. Now, Aaron Jeffrey versus Fabio Aguila. I'm super happy for Aaron Jeffrey that he's finally got the shot at and making it into a big show, and I do believe that he will beat Fabio Aguila. I'm actually pretty confident in his ability to do so as well. He's a very well-rounded fighter. I actually picked Aaron Jeffrey to beat Ciao, which in hindsight wasn't that good of a pick because Ciao is an insane prospect right now. But the guy, you know, he's got 3 losses. 1 loss to Sean Brady. The next loss to Brendan Allen on the Contender Series, and then the other loss to Ciao. Like, those are 3 elite losses. He's also finished Andre Petroski, who seems to be the guy that the UFC is trying to build up for some reason. He's also beaten Bruno Assis, who recently headlined an LFA card. He beat Cullen Hockbody. Like, he's got good wins in the regional scene, really good wins in the regional scene. Lost to Ciao by decision, and yeah. Now he's going to be in the Bellator, and he's going to be fighting a pretty good guy in Fabio Aguila. You know, he beat his last opponent by split decision, but before that he did lose that Bellator debut. And Aaron Jeffrey's an active fighter. He's fought 5 times in about 2 years, and I do respect that. I think he's just going to be a little bit better than Fabio. I really do believe that Aaron Jeffrey should win this fight, and he's going to have a pretty good debut, but I really do like Aaron Jeffrey as a fighter, and I'm quite happy for him that he's finally going to be fighting in a big show. Now, moving on, you just got what you got, you know, with Bellator. You know how they kind of build up prospects. Like, Cody Law's been in the Bellator for a long time, and they've just kind of been building him up over time against guys, and just slowly improving the level of opponent that he's fighting. And they're giving him James Gonzalez, and James Gonzalez isn't too bad, you know. He's got some good wins, like a win over a guy at 7-3, win over Jeff Lentz, who was 11-6 at the time. He also beat Pat Sabatini about 2 years ago, and Pat Sabatini is now doing pretty big things in the UFC, but there was a TKO to an arm injury, so... But yeah, the point is, though, like, James Gonzalez maybe isn't a guy to sleep on, but Cody Law, borderline unplayable line. In fact, it is an unplayable line. Cody Law's just the guy that the PFL is trying to build up, so... You got to side with that one, man. Now, Alejandra Lara versus Lara Joanne. Both of these girls have fought and lost to Kana Watanabe. Lara lost by split decision to Kana Watanabe. Lara Joanne lost by ground and pounds to Watanabe. But the thing is about Lara Joanne, she hasn't won a fight in almost 3 years. And same sort of thing for Alejandra Lara as well. She hasn't won a fight for about 2.5 years. I am going with the favourite, with the slightly younger girl in Alejandra Lara. I do just think she's been looking a little bit better in her recent performances. I picked Deanna Bennett to beat her, and but I do believe she should be able to beat Lara Joanne here. The fight will go the distance. It's a women's MMA fight, most of them do. I'll pick Lara by decision there. Now, Sabaho Marcy, there could be a live underdog in this one, is all I'm going to say. You know, Sabaho Marcy, he had a really unforgettable run in the UFC, a really bad run in the UFC, got knocked out by Abdul Razak Al Hassan in the first round twice. Yeah, not really the best run, and also he lost to the Dirty Bird and Tim Means in his debut. Got cut after going 0-3, won one fight, and then Bellator have picked him up, and he's actually looked quite good. He's been in the Bellator for a few years now, and he's beaten a couple of really good guys like Curtis Melinda, Bobby Volker as well, by flying knee, which is cool. He fought Paul Daly, who's a veteran of the game, fought Andrei Koreshkov, and recently beat Jaleel Willis as well. And Mako Mendoka, I reckon, is a pretty good underdog. I will be picking Sabah Homasi, but Mako Mendoka potentially a dog here. He lost to Jaleel Willis himself, even though Sabah Homasi has beaten Jaleel Willis by submission. But he's beaten some good guys over in LFA. LFA is not a joke of a promotion. He's been Bobby Lee as well. I think Bobby Lee's in Bellator. Is that the right guy? But anyway, Sabah Homasi is going to be looking for the KO. He's a power puncher. That's what he does. And yeah, let's go with Homasi KO. But Mako Mendoka as well, he's probably a pretty live underdog in my opinion. Anatoly Tokov versus Muhammad Abdullah, and Tokov is my lock of the night. He's 30-3. He is 32.5, so he's pretty old to be a prospect, but I mean, the guy doesn't fight often at all, but he recently come back with a big win over Sharaf Davat Ramorodov by split decision. But the guy doesn't fight often enough at all, you know what I mean? Which really sucks to see, because he would be a really exciting fighter. But maybe injuries or something have plagued him in the past. But I don't trust him to beat Muhammad Abdullah. I mean, the last win he had was over a guy with a losing record. Before that, he hadn't fought for about 3.5 years. So I think Anatoly Tokov is going to take it to the ground and just do his thing there and win the fight. Now, Kat Zingano versus Pam Sorensen. Now, Pam Sorensen, I feel like I recognize her from somewhere, and I haven't really figured out where. I think maybe she was on The Ultimate Fighter or something like that. Maybe she was a UFC fighter herself, but I haven't quite been able to figure out where I recognize her from. And no, I guess I just know her from being in Bellator. That's random, but anyway, I'm picking Kat Zingano. I feel like this is a win for Kat Zingano. I think that now that Bellator have picked her up, they're going to try and get her a few wins and kind of protect their investment, I guess, even though at this point Kat Zingano probably isn't much of a draw, really. But I think Pam Sorensen is a very winnable fight for Kat Zingano here, even though she took so much time off. She beat a girl in Gabrielle Holloway. She beat Olivia Parker as well, and a girl that they were potentially trying to build up against the big name in Zingano. But this is a winnable fight for Zingano. Both girls are old. Kat Zingano is almost 40 years old. She's probably going to retire very, very soon. So we'll see how it goes. It's also taking place at 145, which is a very non-existent division. Maybe if Kat Zingano wins, maybe they feed her to Cyborg. I don't know if that's a good idea, but maybe they do it. I will be going with Kat Zingano by decision in this one here. But yeah, it is what it is, man. And now Brent Primus, this is a big card. Brent Primus versus Alexander Shabili. I'm going with Alexander Shabili, slight favourite here. Brent Primus, man, he's getting old. A lot of people don't really realise how old Brent Primus is. He's 37 years old. His two losses, though, to Islam Mamedov by split decision and Michael Chandler by decision. Making it the distance with Michael Chandler even 3.5 years ago is pretty impressive. But he's a good fighter in Brent Primus. He's beaten some good guys. He beat Benson Henderson, who's just a legend of the sport, really. Alexander Shabili's the up-and-comer. He has only fought in the Bellator a couple of times, and like a lot of these guys, he's got a big record, but he hasn't fought much recently at all, which is interesting. But he beat Bobby King, who's a pretty good prospect. Oh, Bobby King's an older guy, but he's still pretty good. And he also beat Alfie Davis as well. I'll be going with Shabili to win a decision in this one here over Brent Primus. Now, Lucas Brennan versus Johnny Soto. This is another situation where they're trying to build up Lucas Brennan, but Johnny Soto spoiled the party once before. Maybe he can do it again, but he's yeah, so he come in against Weber Almeida, and I believe they were probably trying to feed Weber Almeida a win there when he was 3-1, and he beat Weber Almeida by decision, spoiled the party, and then they gave him to Aldul Benjelani, and he lost. He spilled the beans a little bit there. So Lucas Brennan, now he's been fed to Lucas Brennan, a guy which they're building up. He's beaten Ben Lugo and a couple of other guys inside of Bellator. He's been in Bellator for a while. He's only 22 years old. This is definitely a guy that the Bellator is definitely looking to build up. So let's go with Brennan. But if maybe Soto's going to spoil the party. He's done it once before. I think Brennan should win, man. He's a big favourite. Probably an unplayable line. Dan Murray versus Killis Mulder. Pretty confident in Dan Murray to win this one here. He beat Goiti Yamucho by split decision his Bellator debut, which is pretty awesome. But Before that, he had a pretty forgettable run in the UFC. He lost to Spike Carlisle in a fight. You know, that was back and forth. That was a war. Spike Carlisle came to bang in that one there, and so did Dan Murray. That was a really exciting fight. I forgot about that one actually, but Killis Mulder, you know, he's lost to Mike Hamill by split decision. Lost to Derek Anderson, who's pretty good, you know, himself. Beat Mandel Nello, who's fighting lower on in the card. And he lost to Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard's alright, but he's not super amazing. And he's also beaten Bobby Lee as well, and a couple of people with wins over Bobby Lee. But let's go with Dan Murray, man. I'm pretty confident in Dan Murray to win this one. I think he's still got a little bit in him. I think he's still got enough in him to beat Killis Mulder. So give me Dan Murray to win this one and put Killis Mulder on a losing streak. Brennan Ward versus Kcsk. I'm going with the underdog, the pretty sizable underdog in Kcsk as well. Now, Brennan Ward's got a really exciting story, or like not necessarily an exciting story, but a fight you can get behind. You know, he had a lot going on for him in his life, and he made a big turnaround, and he made a big return after about 4 years off. You know, and he looked okay against Brandon Bell, but he didn't look incredible. I'm gonna be honest. You know, Brandon Bell was a guy they brought in for Brennan Ward to win against. You know, Brandon Bell was 10-10 at the time. Now, maybe the Bellator is thinking that they're doing the same thing here with Kcsk. I personally don't really think so. I think that Kcsk potentially could get the upset here over Brennan Ward. I am picking Kcsk as the underdog here. I do think that Brennan Ward's got a really, really good chance to win, but I think Kcsk is going to show up and put on a pretty good performance. You know, he hasn't really done too much to prove that so far, but I don't know how I feel about Brennan Ward after taking so much time off. You know, he's obviously had to focus on much more important things, but I'm going to go with Kane to utilize that reach advantage, you know, in the big Bellator debut. Now, onto the bantamweight tournament, which is really exciting. That's going on right now. Magomedov versus Enrique Barzola. Enrique Barzola used to fight in the UFC, lost to Movsar Evloev, and drew with Rani Yahya, and they said goodbye. So he beat Darian Caldwell by ground and pound, and he beat Nikita Mikhailov. And I believe that was a very short notice fight for Nikita Mikhailov, and he beat him too. But now Magomedov is a really good fighter. His two losses have come to Piotr Yan and Ralphion Stotts. Now, I feel like this line is a big overcorrection for the mistake that they made in the Ralphion Stotts fight, because they had Magomedov is a minus 550 favorite to beat Ralphion Stotts, you know, and now that they've seen him lose, they're now going minus 165. So I think I like the price tag at minus 165 for Magomedov. I think he should win this fight here, and yeah, I just think he should win. It's the truth. I do believe he's going to beat Enrique Barzola in this one here. And now moving on, we've got Denny Sabatello versus Liandra Hugo. Denny Sabatello, the Italian gangster, got passed up on by Dana White on the Contender Series because of his boring, grinding style, and he has gone on a tear since he beat Brett Johns when Brett Johns was coming out of the UFC, and then he beat Jornal Lugo as well by decision, and now he's fighting Liandra Hugo. Potentially this is a skewed line, a line that is a little bit too wide, but I believe that Denny Sabatello actually opened at minus 155, and the line has ballooned to this point, and I do believe that the Italian gangster, and Denny Sabatello is going to win this fight by a decision as well. I think he should get the win. Leandro Higo's good. Like, he's got a win over Sean Bunch, which unfortunately hasn't aged super well. He beat Ricky Banderas, who's not in the Bellator anymore. He beat Darian Caldwell by split decision. Denny Sabatello's good, man. I do believe that Denny Sabatello is going to get the win in this one by a decision. Now, moving on to the main event, man. Gegard Mousasi versus Johnny Eblen. Now, Gegard Mousasi, I believe Gegard Mousasi is going to slow down at some point, but I don't believe that point is right now. You know, Gegard Mousasi, I think people forget that he actually has a loss recently. He lost to Rafael Lovato Jr. only about 3 years ago, and I think after Rafael Lovato won that fight, he retired, or something like that. Like they never got to win that back, but recently he's looked really good. I mean, he finished Austin Vanderford in the first round, made Vanderford look like he had no idea what he was doing in there. He beat John Soto, who was an older guy, by ground and pound, and then before that, you know, Douglas Lima win, Lyoto Machida win as well. I think that Gegard Mousasi's really out here building a legacy for himself. Like, he's 49-7-2, which is pretty awesome, man. That's a crazy record. He used to fight in the UFC as well. He was always been like a top guy in the UFC. There's a couple of really good wins there, a couple of really good wins in Bellator. But as for the fight goes, I think Mousasi wins. I think he beats Eblen. I think he takes the O. You know, I think that Mousasi better on the feet, more composed on the feet as well, and even in the grappling as well. I think he's going to find success over Eblen himself, and I'm going to be going with Mousasi. I think he does finish the fight at some point. It may not be in the first round, and it may not be in the second round, but I think it will happen at some point in the fight. Gegard Mousasi will end up finding a dominant position on the ground with a ground and pound, or he will finish the fight on the feet with a knockout. Johnny Eblen's really good, and if he does beat Gegard Mousasi, this is going to be a huge moment for his career because he is undefeated. And Gegard Mousasi, man, I just think he's going to win. I think he's going to get his 50th win in his career, which is a really impressive career. But he doesn't have much longer to go. This guy's almost 37 years old. I would not be too surprised if Gegard Mousasi retires in the next couple of years. So he's fighting often, which I like. You know, he only fought 3 months ago. And he's starting to fight more and more often because I think he realizes that the time that he's got to build this legacy is running low. So I like Mousasi. I think he should win the fight. I think he's going to beat Johnny Eblen. But Eblen, you know, out of ATT, a big Bellator guy as well, like a guy that Bellator has built up for a long time over guys that he should be able to beat. I think Mousasi is going to be too much for Eblen. I think Mousasi wins, and that's just kind of what it comes down to. I just think that Mousasi is the better fighter, and I think he will win the fight. So that's it.